Good morning, everyone. Welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep. My name is Alpa Sharma, and this is our editorial analysis. I hope I'm clearly audible and visible to everyone. Very good morning. Happy Janmashtami to whoever is celebrating, and happy Thursday for all of those who've been waiting for the Aeon article to arrive. So we have our Thursday here. Thursdays are synonymous to Aeon articles. So of course, I've brought one Aeon article for you. I hope I'm clearly audible and visible to everyone. If you could quickly confirm that. Hi everyone, very good morning. Good morning. All right, so yes, clearly audible and visible there. Good morning. Good morning, Disha. As I had already told you, Thursdays are Aeon days, and I brought one Aeon article. But this article is full of so many difficult words, new words probably for you. And the idea of the article is a lot difficult to comprehend. It's a mixture, it's a chaos. So we need to be practicing mind mapping today so that we understand exactly what is the author trying to say. The information flows in a very chaotic manner. So we need to be very clear with the idea the author is trying to represent. Of course, I've omitted the heading, the headline of the article because if I give you the headline, you would know the main idea. And that is not what I am aiming at. It is, Abhishek, it is sufficient. Okay, Abhishek, let me tell you something. If you look at the sources, okay, from where CAT takes up articles, Aeon probably would be given roughly a 30% to weightage, okay, out of 100%. That's the weightage given to Aeon articles. Apart from that, a lot of weightage is given to New York Times articles, The Guardian, sometimes the Economic Times, the open pages of other newspapers, and a lot of weightage is also given, roughly 30% more weightage is given, remaining 30% is given to extracts from books or other unidentified sources. So I would expect you, because which books they would give, we don't know. Which books they would pick up from, which unknown sources they would pick up from, we don't know that. But we know that Aeon plus these are common sources, and their writing style, their authors are going to be consistent. So we can be okay by reading a lot of such articles from these sources. We can be okay with their writing style that can come up in the examination. I hope that makes sense, everyone. Okay. The other weightage for CLAT, ironically, is every year they've been giving us one article from the Times of India. And that is not something I would want you to read. Okay. So, because these articles are supremely easy. So, I would still expect you to read all of these, because CLAT doesn't check the language a lot. CLAT checks your speed. It's dependent on your speed. So, the questions are easy, the extracts are easy, the speed is expected to be really high. So, if you're practicing these, you're good to go. Okay. So, I hope I've answered all of the questions. I hope, Abhishek, I make sense what to read, from where to read. And now I'm going to take you to the article that I've brought today. I'll not tell you what it is about. We're going to talk about that. But before we proceed to that, All India Open Mock CAT 22 is going on. It started on 12th. The slots are open. It's going to go on till 21st of August. Make sure you sit for this open mock so that you know where you stand, so that you know how much you're scoring, so that you know your percentile, and you know how much you need to work hard. Make sure you experience an examination that's pretty close to the actual CAT examination. Sit for this examination for sure. And if you wish to prepare for CAT 22 in the form of a program, we have a comprehensive program that we have launched, where you're taught under the guidance of Serial 99 some of the 100 percentilers as well. So make sure you rush up and enroll yourself right now. The information of the program is given in the description box under my video. Okay, so let's begin with the article. Here it is. Read this page and send me that, and then we're going to talk about that. Let me highlight a few things for you. Done? Okay. We know the author makes a very strong point here. Which line is the author's main argument in the whole page? Which line do you think is the author trying to describe in the whole page? Tell me. The author is making a very important argument here. What is it? Which line do you think is the author trying to focus on here? Okay, no, Dia, you are mistaken. Others, any try? What is the argument the author is trying to make here in the whole page? Everyone, give this a try. What is the argument the author is making here? The whole page focuses on one line. Which line is it? Okay, I'll tell you. I did not think the first page is going to be so difficult for you guys. No mood to study today, is it? Are you in festivities? The last line, proximity, no. Shweta, you, my child, have got it correct. Exactly, that's what the author is trying to say. The author makes a claim that cities are looked at with two perspectives, fear and fetish. And that's exactly what he's explaining throughout. We look at cities and we are scared, yet we are obsessed with living in cities. When the pandemic hit us, let's understand what it is trying to say here. When the pandemic hit us, specifically, everyone wanted to go into their villages, outskirts, buy a land in villages, probably dreaming of a lifestyle where they would have a cow, you would get fresh milk, you would grow your own vegetable, you would be away from the mad life cities offer you. Yet, when everything opened up, you saw the influx back into the cities. People were glad. Oh, I am going to go back to my favorite brewery. I'm going to go back to my favorite coffee outlet. I'm going to go back to IKEA. We look at cities with fear as well as obsession. That is what the article talks about. Hi, Muskan. Okay, this is what the whole page talks about. And then, of course, why are we scared? Because we're scared because we come across news like stampede, or probably news like public shooting or mob lynching or building collapsing or a fire happening. Yet we are obsessed with living in cities. We know it's the place where you have all the amenities, you have everything luxurious, you have good roads, you have full electricity supply. So that means fetish is an obsession with something. We are obsessed with cities as well. That's the claim the author is making here in this page. Let's move to the next page and let's see what the author talks about furthermore. Here you go. Hi, Muskan. Yes, of course, I know you, my child. Read this article. All right. I hope you're done. Okay, so since we've understood the previous page where the author says cities are considered with a lot of fear and sometimes with a lot of fetish as well. There are two sides of the coin. Okay. Now, when I talk about cities, I have to talk about density as well. Now, what's density? If I talk about density in literal terms, it's the number of people who live in an area. The higher density, of course, is visible in cities. Can density be a reason for fear as well as fetish? Yes or no? I'll repeat my question. Can density be a reason for fear as well as fetish? What do you think? According to the article, hi Roosters, what's making you guys join the class so late? Make sure you start the class on time. If you miss out the first few paragraphs, you're not going to get the article. Of course, yes. Density is one of the most important reasons for fear as well as fetish. So, for example, I have a lot of people around me. It's going to create a sense of fear in my mind because that can cause stampede, that can cause mass killing, that can also cause mass spreading of the new virus, COVID. Yes, but then more density can also lead to more things coming your way positively. Yes, that's exactly what the page says. It has endless source of social possibility. You have more business in areas that are more dense. You have more opportunities where density is higher. You have more labor available in areas that are scarcely surrounded with people. You wouldn't find so many opportunities. So we see there's a shift that's mentioned here in the last few lines. It says everybody in the 20th and 21st century began moving to the cities. You saw the exodus happening from the villages and people moving to cities. I have a tiny house in Uttarakhand, okay? My class students would know. And the reason why I built a house was I wanted to run away from, because I have permanent work from home, I wanted to run away from the density, okay? And then when you go to Uttarakhand, that tiny village, you see people, there are no youngsters working there. Everyone's moving back to the cities. So there was an obsession with moving back to cities. But after the pandemic hit us, everyone said, I'm going to go back to my village. So there's a very important question the author puts up here, that the golden age of urban density, that obsession, that fetish that I have to live in a city, everyone leaving their village behind and going to the city, is that finally over? Are people, late night study? Okay, happy Janmashtami, you too. So the question is that, is finally the fetish over? Obviously, when there's a question, why does the author ask a question? He asks us a question to intrigue a thought in our mind. Okay, probably the next page will try to answer this question. Very, very likely that's going to happen. He's going to analyze, try to answer this question, but it's more of a thought-provoking thing. That let's think if the golden era of obsession with cities, is that over or not? Let's move to the next page. Let's see what it talks about. Here you go. Read the page and send me it done. Done? Good morning, Kinjal. Could be, Prads. Could be. We're still trying to figure out why the author is analyzing the fear and the fetish that's associated with the density, with cities. So the author, for one reason, of course, considers cities synonymous to densities. Okay? Cities, higher density, he considers them to be synonymous. And when he says the fetish and obsession and fear with cities, he synonymously uses it with your fetish and the fear of densities. Of course, here the author focuses on how after the pandemic our fear increased, our fetish with the crowd. Let's take it that way. Which restaurant would you choose? One that's often visited by many people, or one that barely anyone visits? I would obviously choose the first one, though, even though I'll have to wait for a long, long time, I'd go to that place because I think that's going to be a popular one. Same goes for many other places, a market, a store. I would go to a place that's frequently visited by many people. That's obsession, that's fetish with density. But then after the pandemic, the obsession converted into fear. We got really, really scared of such confounded places, places where people were so close to each other, obviously because of the fear of virus. Yet comes a statement. When there's a yet, but a contradiction, we need to focus a lot on that. Yet, despite this rebalancing of scales from fetish to fear, of course, first it was fetish, now it's fear, it's equal now. The long-term damage to dream of living in large, crowded, even exciting cities seems to have been temporary. Looks like people are back to the cities. So, looks like this shift from fetish to fear was temporary. People are back to fetish. We can see that with the COVID spreading. Looks like a fourth wave is on its way. Now let's read this line very carefully, okay? I think it's a very important one. The question of density has become pressing not just by US, where a home and yard are interpreted as quintessential aspects of American dream, but across the world. What is the author trying to say through this line? What is he saying? Of course, yes. What is the author saying here in the last line? Quintessential is very important. It's the most necessary thing is quintessential. Not only in America, but across the world. What is the author trying to say here? Anyone? Density is not just in US, but in many other places too. Okay. Others? What is the author trying to say here? Okay, I'm going to tell you since no one's answering. The point is, how do we see density? Yes. So the point, Abhishek, you're pretty close. The point is, how do we see densities? Are we scared with it? Do we, are we obsessed with it? The answer to this is a pretty disturbing one, and everyone's trying to seek the answer to it, not merely in US, but everywhere else. How do we see density is the question. Okay. And are we trying to run away from it, or are we trying to be obsessed with it is the is exactly what the question is, which is disturbing everyone across the world. Okay, let's move on with the next page. Mm, yes, this one. Read this. What is the author's tone here? Author's tone in this page. Tone of the author. This is a very interesting page. I can go on and on about this page. Inquisitive, yes, Prads, or analytical. Yeah, inquisitive, perfect. Now, what exactly is the page saying? Let's understand. This is a little tricky one. Okay, let's talk about sociologists, social scientists. How do they see density? Density, if I talk about density being synonymous to cities, social scientists consider highly populated places like cities as places where changes happen, as places where people, it's a site of divines. Let's understand what a site of divines could be. You can easily revolt, you can easily surpass people, you can easily oppose people in a city. It wouldn't be so easy to do these things in a village. You can easily break ties with people, make new ties in cities, wouldn't be so easy in a village. So when he says how social scientists see densities, social scientists see densities as immigrant assimilation. Of course, immigrants come, they settle down in cities. You see economic empowerment happening, of course, because you earn more in cities. You see it as a site of defiance. People can easily oppose. You see where you have more cultural freedom. You can do culturally whatever you like or not do it. In villages, it might not be possible. But of course, in much of the world's poorer nations, living in sprawl remains a mark of affluence, where you earn more in cities, and density is something to be transcended. But is that what we are looking for? Can our cities, the question he puts up here is that, can our cities be a better version of the definition that is put up here of a density? What could be a better version of a city, a highly populated place? It could be a place that's more sustainable, that has less garbage, that has more close-knit communities, lesser of divines, more of close-knit communities, less cars, more walking, more bicycles, less consumption, and then good environment. Can our cities be like this? So the author is actually focusing on, guess you guys agree. So basically, the author is trying to identify, can our cities be a better place to live in? So our fetish is not converted into fear. I hope this page is clear to you. Okay, let's move to the next page, everyone. I think this is a supremely easy one. I'm going to remove this page. Here, read this page, everyone. It can be. But the previous page, the tone was not argumentative. He is putting across questions. Argument is when he puts across his own strong opinions. Okay, Abhishek? All right, back to this page, everyone. So, of course, the question is again, how do we look at cities? Fear, fetish, coming back to the question again. So, the author throughout the article is putting up questions again and again and again. During the pandemic, what happened? People got really scared of going out, meeting people. You couldn't meet even your neighbor, and things were really bad. I'm not going to talk about that. In short, we lost all our confidence in cities. People wanted to run away from cities. I ran away from the city I was working in uh, for quite a while, for almost 2.5 years. I'm running back again, by the way. FYI, I'll be taking classes from a lot of locations now. The good part is the green screen would not tell you where am I taking my classes from, but I'll be running away from cities. So people like me and a lot like you as well, we lost confidence in cities because we did not want to socialize. The question is, what forms can and should cities take after the pandemic? Now that the pandemic is almost over, God forbid a next wave should not come. But after this pandemic ends, how do we want our cities to be? Like the one mentioned in the previous paragraph, where everything is very close-knit, substantial, everything is sustainable, there's no pollution, lesser cars, better environment. Probably yes, that's what we were running away from, right? Too chaotic, populated, everything very dirty, and there's a lot of cutthroat competition. That's what we were running away from. So should our cities now be something away from that? Could be. Okay. And then, of course, the question says, many commentators have stated that true game changer for cities is not transport or housing, but work. But the author says that's not true, because work, you can work from anywhere. It's work from home. I work from home. Right. So ultimately, what was your question, Roosters? Could you post your question again? So the author basically disagrees here. It says work probably didn't change things, because you can work from anywhere here or a village. Transport and housing could have been the reasons for changing the game. Let's move on. Yet, what if these aspects of urban life become less of a draw, or they too migrate online? I mean, he's trying to focus on work from home here. Will density once again be maligned as something unhealthy, undesirable, primarily suffered by the poor? Because we are looking for affluent societies, right? We are going to be living in a place that's affluent, that's rich, that has all the luxuries. So density, are we going to leave it behind only for the poor, or are we going to equally suffer from that? Another question the author puts up here. Okay, now read this paragraph and send me a done. No, this one is easy. Wait, guys, wait. This page, read this one. I'll do that again. Read this paragraph. What is the conclusion the author draws here? That's my question. What is the conclusion the author draws here? What is the conclusion? The author draws a major conclusion towards the end. In one line, what is it? Running is not the only solution, but contributing is. Agreed, Dia. Agreed. So basically, I'm waiting for other answers as well. Acknowledging that we have our surrounding, our community. Yes, okay. Basically, the conclusion here is that, Roosters, I'll answer this. I'll read that, okay? So basically, the conclusion here is that cities are a necessity. Should we run away from that? Possibly not, because cities bring in a lot of betterment in life. So we need to look at cities from a perspective where we don't need to run away from it, but create a city for ourselves that's more sustainable, that's more livable, that brings in more equality for everyone. That's the conclusion the author draws after all the questioning and answering and analysis the author does throughout the passage, okay? Exactly, Disha. Absolutely correct. Now, Rooster says in CET, RC passages are too big. So when I see a question on para, I search for the answer of question only, because I think it takes a lot of time to read and there's Of course, yes. Roosters, this methodology is called scanning. Okay. That is, you read the questions and you try to find the answer into the passage without reading the whole passage. This can easily be adopted with passages that are factual, that don't need a lot of analysis. Now, out of 5 questions, if one is that needs analysis and the remaining 4 are factual ones, I would probably not read the whole passage. I would look at the questions and try to find the answer and save a lot of time that way. So this methodology can also be used. It depends on the examination. It depends on the passage, and it depends on how much time you have. CAT level of passages, I would not highly recommend you scan them. Scanning is looking at the questions and finding the answers. I would recommend you skim CAT level passages. CET type passages, you can scan them for sure. But CAT level passages, you need to skim them. Read some parts, leave some parts, like we do here. We try to identify the argument because most of the questions are going to be analytical. It would require inferencing and reading between the lines. I hope I've answered your question, Roosters. Everyone else, I hope you've understood this passage, okay? And before I wind up the class, make sure you like the session and share it with your friends. Make sure you comment under the video if you're watching it as a recorded session. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Telegram, and download our app on Google Play. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a very, very good day. God bless you.